Okay, so guys, I want to tell you a quick story. Once upon a time, I was very new to speed cubing. Look, I'm not saying all beginners dress like that and look like that. That's just how I dressed and looked back then. At that time, I was improving like every day, and I had this strong drive to keep on learning more and more things. Now, I wanted to improve on my cross, and like every other normal person, I went to my computer, opened up YouTube, and searched. And there's this one thing every video I found kept on saying:
plan out the entire cross during inspection.
Plan your entire cross in your inspection.
Plan out the entire cross during inspection. Okay, so again, I was off typing on the YouTube search bar. And voila, all the videos that popped up kept on talking about how to plan cross and first pair in inspection. And I was like,
not everybody is advanced enough to plan their first pair in inspection. What then happens to the rest of us?
and yeah, I agree with my past self on that one. And now that I'm at least kind of qualified, I've decided to make a video on that topic. Now, my aim of making this video is not just for you to learn it and be like that. I'm making this video so that you can use the knowledge of this video as sort of like a foundation, so that you can go into learning cross plus one easier in the future. Now, this video is going to be in two parts. The first part is like guidelines on how to actually plan your cross in inspection, and the second part will give you tips on how to practice so that you can get used to this skill as fast as possible. But there is something you need to know before you actually go into learning this skill, and that is you need to know how to do the advanced cross. I don't really like the word advanced, like it's kind of scary. Let me just rephrase. You need to know how to do an efficient cross. Now, I know you must have heard this over and over again, but I'll still say it one more time. An efficient cross can be solved in 8 moves or less, mostly less. So it will always be easier to plan less than 8 moves in your head during inspection than planning 20 moves or more. Now, the truth is that if you know how to do an efficient cross, it's most likely that you already know how to plan your cross in inspection. So if you don't know how to do an efficient cross, I suggest that you go learn that right now, because trying to learn how to plan your cross now will be like taking medication on an empty stomach, and trust me, it does more harm than good. Well, with that being said, let's get into business. Now, the first thing you're going to do is to resist the urge to start turning once you get a scrambled cube. Now, I know it might be a little bit hard to resist the temptation to start turning, but you're going to have to do that and find your cross pieces. Not one, not two, but all 4 cross edges. Now, in this case, I'm using the white cross, and my cross edges are here, 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 and here. Now, when you find your 4 cross edges, I want you to focus on those 4 edges alone. Like, try to filter out the other pieces on the cube and focus on just those 4 cross pieces. Now, if you know how to do an efficient cross, then you should probably start seeing a cross solution already. And this is where the big question comes in. Now, a lot of people usually ask, how do I memorize my cross solution in my head during the 15 seconds inspection time? And you might also be asking this question. You might be asking, do I memorize the cross as, notation, or do I memorize it as based on the finger tricks or something else? Now, for this particular reason, I went on one of the cubing Facebook groups and I did a poll there on how people think about their cross during inspection. Now, the majority of people memorize their cross during inspection based on the finger tricks. Now, I personally memorize my cross during inspection using finger tricks and a little bit of notation, and sometimes I find myself using hand movements. But I recommend that you memorize your cross during inspection based on like worded directives. So something like, I will insert the green piece here, then do a D2 and F, something like that. So if you can plan it in your head using the finger tricks and like those worded directives, that would be the best option for you. Now, here's a quick tip to make the planning process easier in your head. Now, we should try to know how certain moves affect the edges around them. For example, if I'm doing an R prime on a solved cube like this, you can see that it doesn't affect any of the pieces here. It only affects these pieces here. And our focus is on the edges, so we know that it just cycles these 4 edges. That means if I'm solving my cross here and I have to do an R prime to insert this piece, I know that the R prime won't affect any other edges here. It only affects these 4 edges. Now, I have 2 cross pieces here, so I know in my head that once I do this R prime, this orange white edge will come over here and this green white edge will come over here like this. Also, we should memorize how certain common triggers we use during our cross affect the pieces around them. For example, there's a very popular 3 mover we use during our cross to insert a bad cross edge down into this position, and that is R prime FR. Now looking at it on a solved cube, let's try to see what R prime FR does to the other pieces around it. Now we can see that it doesn't affect any of these pieces over here, and it doesn't affect any of these pieces here. Now focusing on the edges, it actually does affect. We see that it affects these 1, 2, 3, 4 edges right here. So we see that it moves this red white edge from right here down to this position. Then it moves this yellow green edge from right here to this position here. We also see that it moves this orange green edge from right here to this top position here. And finally we see that it moves this green white edge from here up here, and it also changes the orientation while doing this, meaning that if we had a good cross edge here, doing this will turn it into a bad cross edge over here. Now practically in an actual cross situation, with this information, if I want to insert this piece down here using R prime FR, I automatically know where these two will end up. So I know that this red white edge will come up here, and then this green white edge will move here, and it will change its orientation, meaning that now it's a bad cross edge, it will move over here as a good cross edge. So R prime FR, we can see all this here. Pretty cool, right? Now let's look at some ways we can practice so that we can be able to master this skill as fast as possible. Now according to science, the best way to master something is by repetition, but that doesn't mean we'll just be doing solves over and over again, because doing full solves reduces the number of time you can plan your cross in a given period of time. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to get a timer, and then we're going to scramble up the cube. And now at this point, we're going to pause and use all the information we have gotten now to plan all our 4 cross pieces. Make sure you plan all 4 of them, no matter how long it takes you. Next, either closing our eyes, looking up, or using a blindfold, we're going to solve everything we have planned in inspection, then stop the timer right there. No, don't take it off, you're not yet done. Actually, I wasn't trying to solve the whole thing. I was only planning my cross. Okay, let me give you a little tip, guys. Don't use a blindfold, because you don't want that kind of situation, and then like it's just tire out your arm and everything. So you're going to continue doing this over and over again. You scramble your cube, you solve your cross, scramble again, just continue like that for as long as you can go. Now the tip I'm giving you guys here now is completely exclusive. No other person might tell you this, but see what you can do. Now what you can do is that you can plan your 4 cross edges, but not only those 4, you can add in an extra piece like the corner or the edge of your first F12 pair. It's just like juggling 4 balls or onions in my case. When you go back to 3 balls, it all feels so slow and so easy. You get what I mean? So doing this will kind of like make solving just 4 cross pieces a whole lot easier to you guys. Now if you want to see more of me in the future, click that subscribe button. And please like the video if it was useful to you. If it wasn't, still like the video. And I'll see you guys later.